You know, for Vincent Hayes, control wasn't just about business, it was oxygen. He liked the way the sound of his red Ferrari, a masterpiece of Italian engineering, made people step aside when he rolled into the Apex Global lot every single morning. It was his rhythm. It was his space. It was his power. But that afternoon, the rhythm just shattered. His usual, designated parking space, the one marked reserved for CEO, was occupied. Not by a Lexus or a Porsche, but by this dusty, battered, black 1930 Cadillac. It looked like it had crawled straight out of a history book and decided to retire right next to his seven-figure machine. Hayes stopped walking. His entourage of investors and VPs stopped with him. "Who parked that relic here?" one whispered, the contempt thick enough to cut. The air was hot, smelling faintly of old gasoline and asphalt. Hayes' jaw tightened. This wasn't just a parking spot. This was a challenge to his authority, to the natural order of things he commanded. The owner of the Cadillac, an elderly black janitor named Mr. Elias Thorne, walked toward the car. He moved with this quiet, unhurried pace, holding a ring of keys that jingled softly against his worn work pants. He didn't seem to notice the crowd, the phones angling up, the quiet murmurs of employees lingering nearby, smelling drama. He just adjusted his glasses and went to unlock the door. Hayes stepped forward, his voice cutting through the rising heat. "You parked here." Mr. Thorne looked up, taking half a second too long to process the question, then nodded. All other spaces were filled. His tone was flat, almost polite. Hayes laughed. It was a cold, unfriendly sound. "You thought parking your junk next to a Ferrari was a good idea." His guests exchanged smug glances. Someone's phone camera clicked on. "This is going to be good," a young employee muttered, barely under his breath. That calmness from Mr. Thorne, that complete lack of being intimidated, it irritated Hayes more than anything else. Hayes moved closer, his voice low but sharp enough to hold tension. "You know who owns this place." "Doesn't change where the open space was," Mr. Thorne replied, still just checking the Cadillac's mirror, completely unfazed. More employees drifted in, forming a loose circle. Hayes loved the attention. He saw his moment to humiliate this man, to reassert absolute dominance. He pointed at both cars, enjoying the reflection of flashing phone cameras on his hood. "Tell you what, since you're brave enough to park next to me, let's make it interesting." He leaned in with a smug, predatory grin. "Race me. If that antique beats me, you can have my company." A gasp moved through the crowd. Phones angled higher. "He's serious," someone whispered. Mr. Thorne blinked slowly, tapping the metal of his Cadillac lightly, thoughtfully. "You want to race over a parking spot?" he asked. "No," Hayes said, enjoying the moment too much. "I want to show these gentlemen what real power looks like." He tapped the Ferrari's hood. "Your call." Mr. Thorne just shrugged that single, small shrug. "All right." The sudden acceptance hit the crowd like a shockwave. Whispers turned to excited shouts, the silence before a story people will repeat later. And just like that, the race everyone would soon talk about began with a quiet nod from a man who never raised his voice. The story spread through Apex Global faster than Hayes could rev his engine. By the time they moved to the long, empty stretch of the lot, a trail of employees followed, phones raised high. Hayes, strutting around his Ferrari, soaked it all up. "Look at this masterpiece," he boasted to his investors. 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. Mr. Thorne, meanwhile, opened the Cadillac's hood with a slow, steady motion, letting the hinge creak. He reached inside, tightening a strap, checking a hose. Simple movements, no rush, no nerves, like he'd done this every day for 50 years. His breathing was even. "Didn't know we needed all this for a small race," Mr. Thorne said quietly, wiping a smudge from his faded chrome trim. Hayes just smirked, already climbing into the Ferrari, revving the engine until the sound boomed across the asphalt, sharp and angry. Mr. Thorne didn't flinch. He simply closed the Cadillac's hood and sat behind the wheel, settling in for a predictable drive. His engine gave a soft, uneven hum in comparison, a sound that made a few people chuckle. A supervisor lifted her hand. 3, 2, 1, go! Hayes shot forward, tires screeching, the Ferrari surging like it wanted the spotlight as much as he did. He disappeared down the straight path in a roar. The crowd cheered, already recording the inevitable victory. Mr. Thorne pulled off the line quietly. No surge, no drama, just a steady roll that matched the rhythm of his heartbeat. "He's not even trying," someone laughed. "Man, this is going to be embarrassing." But Mr. Thorne didn't look embarrassed. He looked focused. And that quiet, absolute focus made a few of the more thoughtful employees stop laughing. Hayes' Ferrari flew down the long stretch, its engine screaming. But halfway down the route, the sound shifted. A sharp, ugly sputter cut through the roar. Hayes frowned, pressing the accelerator again. The engine coughed hard, shaking the frame. A warning light blinked on the dashboard. "Not now." Hayes muttered, tapping the wheel nervously. He tried one more push. The Ferrari jerked forward, shuddered, and then died. Right there, in the middle of the lane. Silence swallowed him. The cameras were still far behind, but they would catch up. Hayes stepped onto the pavement, staring at the stalled machine like it had personally betrayed him in front of the world. Sweat gathered on his forehead. His breath came tight. Behind him, the soft, steady hum of the Cadillac grew louder. Not fast, not dramatic, just consistent, like a pulse. People running beside the track slowed down, watching with utter confusion. Is the Ferrari broken? No way. No way that just happened. Lewis's Cadillac rolled closer, its old body rattling slightly. It slowed as it reached Hayes' stalled machine. The old man leaned out the window, his voice low and completely even. "Need a lift." Hayes' face drained of all color. The arrogance evaporated, replaced by pure, blinding humiliation. "You can't be serious." Mr. Thorne reached over and unlocked the passenger door. A soft click echoed louder than the gasping crowd behind them. "Race hasn't ended," Mr. Thorne said, still not smiling, still focused. "You want to finish or not?" Hayes hesitated. Cameras pointed straight at him. Investors stared, stunned. Every second he stood there made the humiliation heavier. He swallowed hard, lowering himself into the cracked leather seat of the car he'd just mocked as junk. The Cadillac rolled forward again, slow, reliable. The arrogant millionaire was riding shotgun in the beaten antique. People filmed and whispered, their disbelief captured forever. And in that strange, quiet ride, Hayes realized something truly unsettling. For the first time all afternoon, he was completely out of control. The Cadillac rolled across the finish line with no rush at all. No roar, no showmanship, just a gentle rumble that made the scene feel even stranger. Workers and guests crowded the line, phones recording every angle. When the old car stopped, all eyes locked on the passenger side. Vincent Hayes stepped out. His face was pale, his shirt clinging to his back with sweat. The crushing weight of the crowd's eyes trapped him. "He lost in his own challenge," someone whispered. "Man drove a Ferrari and still got carried to the finish." Hayes cleared his throat, desperately trying to form a defense. "Listen, everyone, this wasn't exactly what it looked like. The Ferrari had a mechanical issue." A young employee cut in, his tone simply factual. "You said he could have the company if he won." "We all heard it," another worker nodded. Hayes' power, the dominance he usually commanded, slipped through his fingers. The phones kept recording, capturing the slow collapse of his identity. Mr. Thorne stepped forward at last. He wiped his hands on his towel, looked Hayes directly in the eye, and spoke in his steady, quiet voice. "I didn't race for your company." A murmur ran through the crowd. "I raced because you asked." Hayes blinked, confusion replacing panic. "I'm not here to take anything from you," Mr. Thorne continued. "Not your job, not your money. I just wanted to finish what you started." The tension in Hayes' shoulders loosened, but the deep embarrassment didn't fade. The investors stepped forward, faces tight. "Richard, your behavior today reflects poorly on this company," one said, voice calm but sharp. "You mocked an employee on camera. You caused a public spectacle." The board's chairwoman, who had arrived minutes earlier, crossed her arms. "We can't ignore this level of unprofessional conduct, Vincent." Hayes was trapped. Mr. Thorne took one small step back, giving Hayes the space to face his consequences. No grand speech, no victory pose, just a quiet presence that made the truth harder to avoid. The board met with Hayes privately, but the outcome was already clear. Suspension, investigation, leadership review. Employees whispered as they drifted back inside, replaying the unbelievable moment the Cadillac carried the CEO past the finish line. Mr. Thorne didn't linger. He walked back to his old car, moving with the same quiet rhythm he had before the race. A few workers approached him, offering congratulations. "You kept your cool, sir. Respect." "Didn't need more than that," Mr. Thorne replied, with a simple nod. The chairwoman stopped beside his window. "Mr. Thorne," she said, her tone carrying genuine respect, "if you're willing, we'd like you to advise us on improving workplace culture. We saw how you handled all this." Mr. Thorne considered it, then gave a small nod. "If it helps people treat each other better, sure." As he drove away, the Cadillac's engine hummed through the warm air, steady and unbothered. The company buzzed with fallout and change. People online replayed the clip for days, not for the race, not for the car trouble, but for the moment the millionaire sat in the passenger seat of the man he mocked. The lesson hit harder than any engine roar. Consistency beats pride. Respect outlasts power. And the quietest man in the room can end up steering the whole story. Mr. Thorne had proven that the true strength of a machine, or a man, isn't measured by how fast it can roar, but by how reliably it can keep going when everything else breaks down. Now, I want to hear from you. We all know people like Vincent Hayes, people who value power over respect. What's the biggest lesson you learned from watching someone's arrogance fail in public? Comment below and tell me your thoughts. And tell me, do you think Lewis Thorne should have taken the company when he had the chance? Or was his refusal the ultimate victory? Let's talk about whether character or power should win. Like and subscribe for more stories where arrogance falls and character wins.